everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're so excited today. We have author and screenwriter Jennifer Snow with us. She has the new novel, All Signs Point to Malibu, coming out. And she's written so many screenplays and books over the years. It's always a delight to talk with you, Jennifer. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So how are you doing? Have you gotten through this super hot summer?
Yeah, it was ridiculous in Spain for a while. August is always one of those months that you are either in a pool or you have to like hibernate in air conditioning. It's just
Right.
goes from being nice hot to just like this is disgusting.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm over it. Let's
Yeah.
move
So we're
on.
looking forward to September. We had a storm
Hmm.
a few days ago and it kind of broke the super heat wave. So it's been a bit better, but
Hmm.
looking
Hmm.
forward to September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I noticed this year you've done more book writing than screenwriting, or at least that's published, that's premiering. What's that like? Like going from writing a book to writing a screenplay, like it seems like there would be pretty different skill sets going on there.
Yeah, it is different. And usually for the first couple of weeks when I switch back and forth, I'm like, I'm not sure I remember how to do this.
Yeah.
Especially, with first person versus, past tense and all the different things. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it can get a little tricky when you're going back and forth. It takes a few weeks for your brain to kind of adjust. But yeah, it's All Signs Point to Malibu was kind of the last book that I finished, and then so I have been doing a lot of screenplays. It's just a lot of
Mm.
them are theatrical or kind of bigger movies, and so they're just taking a
Oh.
lot longer to kind of get moving. They're all in kind of pre-development stages and casting stages and different stages.
Oh, that's
So
interesting. So the writing process for doing a theatrical is pretty different than
it
a movie of the
is.
week.
Yeah, yeah. The movies of the week, in my experience anyway, are usually ones that have already kind of been greenlit, and then I'm told, okay, we've got this project, approved by the network. Go ahead and write it. So I write it knowing it's going to get made, and I usually write it in a couple of weeks,
Hmm.
early in the year, and then it gets filmed, throughout the year, and it releases that year. So it's quite a quick turnaround, which I think has spoiled me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, they're like filming for one of my bigger projects, and it's like 2026, and I'm like, what? That's like two
Wow.
years away. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a longer wait. It's kind of annoying, but
Yeah. Are the mechanics a lot different as far as like the dialogue, the pacing, other things like that, for theatrical?
yeah, it really is. The
Hmm.
TV ones, you obviously need the commercial breaks, and you need the twists and turns at every 10 minutes or so. Um, the theatricals are a little bit. You have more leeway and flexibility to tell the story in a different way, whatever suits the story. So definitely different beats and different requirements
Hmm.
for those kind of films for sure. So
Yeah. So last year you had 8 movies come out, which is just like crazy, amazing. And I'm just curious, out of those 8, do you have a favorite? I
Christmas
know they're
Time
all your
Capsule.
baby.
Nope, that's easy. Christmas Time Capsule was my favorite. I
Okay,
love
that's your
it.
favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why is that your favorite?
I think it could be because of Emily and Franco. Quite
Okay, yeah.
honestly, like, it probably has nothing to do with me and like the actual story. More,
Uh-huh.
it's Emily and Franco just absolutely killed it. Their
Yeah,
chemistry on screen as a real life
so
couple
cute.
were just, yeah, you couldn't beat that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they were really, really, really cute. Because that whole like emotional cheating angle, I was like nervous going into it, but they
yeah,
were so great. It worked. It worked.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was
Well,
nervous too.
yeah. Well, my favorite was We're Scrooged was
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite. I really enjoyed it. I thought, well, I mean, I love Andrew Bushell so much.
yeah,
If it were up to me, I would have him in all of these. I think he's great, and he brought a lot of like humor, and I just liked the whole idea of them both getting Scrooge. I thought was clever, and then him getting to be the future, basically getting to be like the evil man of business, like kind of version of was fun, and he was good at that. So
yeah.
I just thought it was clever.
Uh, well, thank you. I
Yeah,
broke my
yeah.
foot in 4 different places over that concept. I was so excited of when I
Uh-huh.
was going into my pitch. and I was doing this stupid dance in my kitchen and kicked one foot with my other foot and broke 4 bones in my foot 5 minutes before I had to go and pitch that idea to Brain Power. So I'm sitting there with my foot on ice. I'm crying. Luckily, I've had a relationship with them, so they weren't like, "Oh my goodness, you're a basket case." And so, yeah, I got through it, and they're like, "Well, we really like it," and so luckily they liked
Wow.
it. And Chrissy at MTV liked it, thank goodness, because it was worth, breaking my foot over. I watched the movie, and my foot still hadn't healed all the way, so
Oh
that's
my
how long it took
gosh.
to recover from that. But so I'm glad you liked
Yeah.
it.
You got to like make up a really dramatic story, being like, I was skiing a black diamond, race or whatever.
No,
Something
I'm just
dramatic.
clumsy. I'm just clumsy. My family's like, just don't move,
I
just
just
sit.
tripped in the kitchen. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
Oh, the joy of getting older. It
yeah,
was it
exactly.
was so funny the other day. I was at a show watching the other day I was at the theater, and there were this group of old women who were all there. There were probably four of them, and they were hilarious. They were funnier than the play that we were watching, to be honest. They were really funny, and they were like, "When you get older, you'll understand." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. When I got in my 40s, it really was a big difference, whatever." And they were like, "You're in your 40s?" They couldn't believe I was 43. They were like, "No, you're 28. You're 28."
Yeah,
It was so funny.
but it's so true. It's like the minute I crossed over that 40 mark, it's
Yeah,
like everything got harder.
it changes
Everything
you. It
hurt.
really does.
Like, my goodness, how did I get so old? And I heard that, so I'm 43 as well, but I heard that like when we're 45, I guess
Yeah,
like there's this huge aging that happens, and I'm like not looking forward to that.
I'm sure it won't be pleasant.
Yeah, just enjoy
Yes.
the next 18 months, I guess.
Well, so you managed to do 8 movies last year and still publish 2 books. Like, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I was busy. I was busy.
You must be constantly working on multiple projects at the same time.
I am, and they're all at various stages and stuff
Uh-huh.
too. Like all 8 movies from last, there was only one that was held over that had been written the previous year. All other seven, the seven of them have been written within from October to March of before the strike happened. And so it was just like insane, like just one after another of two
That's
weeks to do a script.
amazing. Do you have
Um,
like a daily word count that you have to make?
when I have my book, when I'm writing a book, I do. I need at least 5,000 words a day in order to kind of maintain that flow. With the script writing, it's a little different because I think a lot of it happens away from the computer. Like when you're writing
Uh-huh.
a book, you need 80 or 100,000 words. So you actually need to sit there and type them in.
Yeah.
Whereas, the script is so much less wordage and more plotting and things away from the computer. So I feel like it's not really word counts, but more just, almost page counts. I'd like to get 5 to 10 pages done of the script a day. And it
Hmm.
doesn't even have to be in order. It's just like, I know I need this scene, go put that in, need that scene, put it in, and then
Wow.
flesh it out.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
So the books last year were both Alaska books.
Yeah.
And so it made me wonder, are we going to get an Alaska movie from you
I'm
one of these
trying.
days?
So Harlequin owns the rights to the Wild River series.
Okay.
So it's completely on their plate if those ones get adapted. I did keep the film rights to the Wild Coast series, the Coast Guard one in Alaska, and I'm actually working on the pilot episode for series for my Gersh agent this week. So we'll see if he likes it once it's done. But that's where I'd like to go with that Coast Guard series. I think it'd be kind of fun. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. I should have written it down. I did read one of the Coast Guard ones. I think it was the most recent one.
Okay. The lighthouse keeper.
What's that?
Is it the lighthouse keeper and his daughter? That was the last one.
It was about a surgeon.
That was an Alaskan Christmas from the Wild River Search and Rescue series.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That was the one. Yeah. And it was, I liked it. It was very swoony.
Yeah, I like romantic. I like that one. That one was actually challenging a little bit because it was my first book with HQN with Harlequin's like single title line, and my agent said, "Oh yeah, if you want to write for HQN, you need 100,000 words," and like I write very lean, so I'm like 75. Like I'm hitting it, and so 100,000, I was like, oh my god! So it really put me through my paces. I mean, it turned out to be a better book at the end of the day because I had to keep digging deep and adding more and more.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I found out it was like actually 80 to 100, I was like, okay, every other book after this. So it's my longest book, but not from my own choice.
That's funny. Yeah. Is it hard to go from the mentality of these super clean romance scripts that you're doing to the little bit more spicy books?
It is. Yeah. It really is. I find reining it in for the TV audience is the harder part. Like going spicier for books is fine, and some of my upcoming movies are spicier, which is great. But the going the other way and trying to do sweeter for the TV networks is very difficult because I'm kind of snarky by nature, and we know we're not allowed to have snarky characters. Everyone has to be, beautiful and lovely. So the snark needs to be toned down, not only the heat level. So I think that's probably my biggest challenge is the fact that nobody can swear and nobody can be sarcastic. It's very...
Which is too bad. I mean, the swearing thing, I don't mind, but I kind of like some snarky characters. I like a little bit of sass, Yeah. It's too bad that it has to be so curtailed. But I would think that would be hard, switching back and forth.
It does. And I think I pushed the envelope a little bit. Like I still kind of go where I know I'm going to get reined in. Yeah. And then they let the producers kind of flag anything that they think is not going to work.
Yeah. Well, and I guess probably We're Scrooged got away with more because they're supposed to be kind of Scrooge characters at the beginning. They're supposed to be kind of sarcastic and snarky.
So that one worked out okay.
Yeah. So this all signs point to Malibu. Was that fun writing in a hot climate as opposed to these Alaska books?
Yeah, I mean, I think living in Spain made it a lot easier to write about, Malibu. At least I can stare at palm trees as I'm writing it instead of looking at palm trees trying to write a Christmas book. But it was definitely easier. It was actually a script first.
Oh, really?
So that was interesting, the process of novelization, a script. So I think readers will actually maybe see that it's written in a slightly different style. That was a stylistic choice of mine to kind of bring a little bit of the screenwriting feel into the book. Don't know if readers will like it or not, but that was the way I chose to write it.
The tough luck. Yeah. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Harpeth Road Publishing and author Terry Wilson and her new book, Christmas Charms. This is a delightful holiday read that you can get in the Christmas spirit now in September. Ashley James is supposed to be having the Christmas of her dreams. After 4 years of working at an upscale jewelry store in Manhattan, she will finally get a little velvet box of her own, and she knows exactly when her boyfriend Jeremy is taking her on a romantic trip to Paris. What could go wrong? Pretty much everything. A gorgeously festive Christmas story from New York Times bestselling author Terry Wilson. It will have you reaching for the candy canes and sugar drops. You can pick up Christmas Charms wherever you purchase your books online or in person.
and you can use the affiliate link below and go to Harpeth Road for more information. That's harpethroad.com. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the book? What's it about?
Okay, so the lead character, Haley, she is a psychic life coach who will glimpse into her client's future to kind of steer them down the right path or away from the wrong one. And when she runs into her ex-boyfriend and gets a glimpse into his future and sees that he's about to marry the wrong woman, she tries to meddle in his life and stop him from making a huge mistake. So
how did you get the idea for this?
Well, a bunch of friends and I were just sitting around one night, just kind of talking about, we were all kind of at a bit of a crossroads in different areas. One was getting a divorce, and one was, I was looking to change direction with the screenwriting. And we were all just saying, like, it'd be really great if you could know that the choice you're about to make is going to be the right one, because then you could do it confidently, just going in blind and not quite sure. And so the idea of like having a mentor who could actually tell you whether or not you will actually succeed down a path, or if you're just going to be wasting, 5 years of your life chasing something, was kind of appealing. And so then the idea wouldn't let me go. I put it on the back burner a dozen times. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll write it as a screenplay first. And then because it's a smaller format, I could write it faster. And then if it works, if I feel like it's a story I want to tell in book form, then I could novelize it. And turn it into a bigger project. So that was how I kind of came up with it, and then that's how I approached doing it. So
yeah. So then were they asking for, did you have like a book deal, so you needed to, or how did this end up coming to fruition as far as you pitching it to Harlequin?
Yeah, so my Alaska series had wrapped up, and they had wanted actually another Alaska series, but quite honestly, I was just Alaska'd out. I had 12 books set there, and I was just like, I need something a little different. So I did have 3 new books as another spin-off series planned, and I submitted them and they liked them. But at the end of it, I just said, I just don't think I can. But I said, I do have this script in a speculative rom-com genre that's, a little bit more on a women's fiction side that I'd really love to write. And they were like, not so sure, and I'm like, well, read the script, tell me what you think. And so my editor read the script and she said, which is not the normal way that book submissions go. I'll just say that right now. So anyone thinking they can submit scripts to publishers, that is not okay. I somehow was able to weasel in there. But she read the book, read the script and read a full synopsis of it. And she thought it was super cute.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like,
that's
hey,
cool.
let's go. So, but it's totally different for me, and it's with Canary Street Press. So on their trade publication side. So definitely a bigger book.
Yeah. So have you ever been to Alaska? You write these Alaska books?
I had a trip booked and COVID hit, and I had to cancel. I had to write everything based on Google searches and everything else. And it was.
That's crazy. You should totally go, because you could expense it easy. It's just research.
I know. We wanted to go so bad, and my mom's always wanted to go on an Alaskan cruise. So I was like, okay, well, we'll go to Alaska, and then maybe I'll do the cruise with you in the following year, so that we could see another part of Alaska. But neither happened because of COVID. And then we've been to Spain, and now we have gone to Alaska.
Well, you need to write maybe a book in Spain.
Yeah. I have a movie in the works.
I've been to Spain. To the southern coast. My sister was living there, and so I can't even remember the names of where we were at, but we spent a lot of time at the beach, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, although I wasn't a big fan of the food. And maybe being with somebody who, well, my sister was living there at the time, but still, like, there were a couple of things that really frustrated me about the food. One is that so many of the items you had to have 3 or 4 more people to order.
Right.
There were a lot. And so since I was by myself or just with my sister, there was a ton of stuff that we couldn't order. And that was frustrating. And I just found things to be kind of bland. I was like, this just needs more sauce. It needs more flavor. It needs more, like, things would look kind of good. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't have any taste.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm not a big fish person, like having said that, my salmon's in the oven. I'm having salmon for dinner, but I'm not a huge fish person, and I don't like seafood. So the whole Mediterranean diet thing doesn't work for me. And croissants and donuts for breakfast don't work for me either.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's been a little bit of an adjustment, and we're still
They'd
eating
have these sandwiches, and it was just like smoked meat, which I don't like, but there was no like sauce. I'm like, I need more things. In fact, everything just seemed very dry, and I was complaining about it to my brother-in-law, and when we got back, I went to Red Robin, and they had like, I don't know, 15 different, the whole table was full of different sauces, that you can have for their fries and stuff. And I took a picture and I sent it to my brother-in-law, and I was like, God bless America.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, the major sauce they have here is like barbecue sauce. And even in some places, when you go to like for Mexican food and you ask for fajitas, the sauce is more ketchupy than it is like spicy salsa-y.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to try to find kind of the right flavors. Where we live, I mean, there's East Indian restaurants and there's Italian restaurants and Mexican restaurants actually owned by Mexican people and Spanish people, run their stuff. And, we've got a beautiful Chinese restaurant that's run by Chinese families. So we found eventually the restaurants that make the food that you're used to getting. But most of the cafeterias they sell everything, but everything, like you said, are a little bit one note. Nothing is quite fantastic.
Like paella, overrated. I'm sorry. Overrated.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big rice person anyway, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
Like this, yeah. So I always, whenever I don't think I would be happy living abroad. I just don't like you're doing, because whenever I travel, it's fun. I love it, but I'm always like, oh, thank goodness to be back in America.
Yeah,
I was glad.
Well, and it's so funny because I feel like home here. Like I
Yeah.
don't even want to go back to Canada to visit, to be honest. I'm like afraid like they won't let me leave again. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like Spain has literally felt like home since we moved here. And I don't know if it's because it's in my heritage. Like my great grandfather was a baby that was left on the shores of Newfoundland from a fishing vessel from either Portugal or Spain years ago.
Yeah.
So we can't trace our family history back beyond him. And so maybe there's something to that. Maybe because, our family is originally from this side of the world, I feel comfortable here, but yeah.
You know what they could do if they did a Christmas movie in Spain? You could have like a churro rivalry.
Yes.
That would be good. That was the best thing I had in Spain by far.
The churros.
Or the churros, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're different than like what we think of churros as far as like the game day kind of food and stuff. Like the churros they have there are different.
Yeah.
More like a beignet.
Yeah. They always smell really good when you're walking through them all, but it's just like
they're good. Anyway, but yeah, so this all signs point to Malibu. With this Haley, her being a life coach, psychic life coach, were you worried about her like staying a likable character because she thinks she knows how everybody should live their life, she knows how everything should be? Was that tricky, kind of keeping her grounded?
Absolutely. And I think that was almost kind of part of the fun, was just writing this character who at the beginning was so, I'm going to save everyone and I'm going to, do all of this. And this little bit of a savior's complex that she had was really a huge flaw. So to have her come, around at the end and, her arc and things like that, it was kind of fun to play around with. I have to be honest, the movie version makes her a lot more sympathetic because in the film, you're able to see like for books, you need a POV character in the scene. So most of the book is written in either Warren's point of view or Haley's point of view. But for the movie, I was able to show Liam and Sonia's relationship a bit more off, away from Haley and Warren. I was able to show some of her other clients and things like that, so that you did get the feel that while Haley was overstepping in a lot of areas, she was right to do so in a lot of times. And so you kind of felt a little bit more sympathetic to her when you knew she was kind of leading these people on the right path, even though, she herself was a little bit flawed. So
Were you inspired by like My Best Friend's Wedding with this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just love all the rom-coms from that, like from that era. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, My Best Friend's Wedding and yeah, like all of them. I love that movie About Time. I like the ones that have the speculative angle,
Mm-hmm.
Time Traveler's Wife, all that kind of thing. So I think I wanted to kind of take what I loved about the movies from that time and kind of mesh them all together into one that had everything in it that I would want to watch now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need shotgun wedding type situations where people are getting shot up at a wedding, or like movies
Mm-hmm.
where somebody all of a sudden is a private CIA agent and they're going from
Yeah.
Dubai to like the
Oh
movies now
yeah.
are just so over the top, and I just wanted to go back to a basic rom-com that felt genuine and all the stuff that we loved from the
Mm-hmm.
rom-coms back in the 90s. And
I mean, that's interesting because My Best Friend's Wedding in so many ways subverted the genre. I mean, having especially the ending,
yeah, for sure.
having her not get with the guy was
Yeah.
pretty bold. And for her being so unlikable, she really is the villain of the
Oh yeah.
movie,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
which is
it
what I
totally
like about it, which I think that's what makes it fresh,
totally. Yeah.
hard to do. But yeah, Sonia to me felt like kind of a Cameron Diaz
Yeah,
type character, from Best
absolutely.
Friend's Wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, which is tricky. I would think it would be tricky to write because, yeah, you have to keep her like in a lane so that you don't overly turn the reader off of your lead character,
Yeah. But
off
it's
of
funny though,
Haley.
as much as, obviously I want my character to be sympathetic and somebody you can root for. I'm also one of those readers who really love books where like my thrillers, there's no one likable in those. You
Yeah.
can maybe identify with them, you can sympathize with them, but I like unlikable characters when I read.
Hmm.
I like morally complex characters. So while I know she might not fit exactly the mold of a heroine for this particular genre, I wanted to write somebody a little bit more interesting and not
Hmm.
necessarily need her to be as likable. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. I knew with this one it was going to be you either really enjoy this book or you really don't, and I was actually okay
Hmm.
with that.
Yeah.
I I just wanted to write
Yeah.
something different, something that
Hmm.
I was being forced to write in every other area.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because, yeah, I agree with you that she's a flawed character, but somebody that it's like becomes easier to relate to her because we're all flawed people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And I
So do
think her
you?
intentions are good. Like with,
Yeah.
she wants to help him, and especially with Warren, she wanted to help
Mm-hmm.
him. No
Yeah.
spoilers, but
Yeah.
her involvement with the hero of the story was
Mm-hmm.
genuine. I mean, she did something really great. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you can kind of forgive her meddling. So
Do you think that people truly do have this kind of intuition? Do you believe in it?
I do. I fully believe in my gut instincts about everything. It's funny because my husband has teased me over different things, saying, just be wrong once, and I'm like, dude, I would love to be wrong once because usually my gut, instincts are saying something's not right or someone's leading
Yeah.
me down the wrong path or someone's effed me over. So it's when I get that vibe about someone and I end up,
Yeah.
finding out that it is the case. I would really love to be wrong. But yeah, no, I've got a pretty good instincts about things and about
Mm-hmm.
people. So I tend to listen to
Mm-hmm.
that quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and I have this thing too, where it's like, I'll think about her during the day, and next thing you know, she'll call me. And like we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot, like being in Spain and with the time difference with Canada. We might chat maybe once a month or something, but we always like, or if she's thinking about me, I'll text her. It's like it's just this weird kind of connection type thing that we seem to have, especially if I'm having a bad day or she is, we always kind of know the right time to, to reach out. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something to it.
Yeah. So you have basically an enemies to lovers story going on between Warren and Haley. And so what was that like writing Warren as a character? Kind of
I
gruff
love
and
it.
sweet. Yeah.
I loved Warren. I love him
Hmm.
so much. And
Yeah.
I just I love the banter between the two of them. That was some of my most fun banter dialogue that I've ever written. Just like having these two where he is just not letting her get away with anything, and she's like, I want my way. I'm, little miss, I get what I want kind of thing. And he's kind of like, no, not today. And so
Yeah.
I just really loved how strong he was with her. There's a
Uh-huh.
scene on the football field that is my favorite scene ever. There's a line of dialogue in it that I just like, I wrote it, I've read it a dozen times, and I still laugh when I read it. So I'm just, yeah, I love Warren. He's great.
Do you find that one of the tropes is easier to write than the other, or that you enjoy writing more? So here you have enemies to lovers, friend to lovers, forced proximity, fake dating, all these different ones. What do you think?
I think enemies to lovers is definitely my favorite. I
Uh-huh.
love that banter and the arguments between them, and like having that heat level with just this,
Yeah.
this argument and then making out and argue. I find forced proximity is a little hard for me.
Uh-huh.
And best friends to lovers can be tricky too, because they already like
Yeah.
each other and they're already
Yeah.
friends and they already know everything about each other. And, I find it gets boring for me sometimes. Like
Yeah.
reading it, I
They
find it gets boring.
they all have their landmines because like enemies to lovers, you could just end up hating them both. It's like, why do I care about either of these people being happy? I don't like any of them. So you have to make that like switch over just at the right time that we
Yeah,
don't resent the characters. Friends to
totally.
lovers, it can be hard to not make it seem like the whichever character is oblivious of the other's love for them, like them like making them seem like complete idiots. Like how could you possibly not know that this person is into you?
Yeah.
Uh, so that can be tricky, or just somebody friend zoning someone can be frustrating. You're
Yeah.
like, what?
Totally. Well,
But
and I feel like too, it's hard to convince me that if you've had this person in your life your entire life or for a long time and you haven't felt those sexual vibes or that connection and now all of a
yeah,
sudden
that's
you
true.
do, it's very tricky for an author to convince me that you've been friends with somebody for 3 years and you've never wanted to rip their clothes off until right now. Like what?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like unless there one's in a relationship and the timing's not right or something like that, fine.
Yeah.
But then you still have that, okay, she thinks he's hot. She'd like to have sex with him, but she's already got a boyfriend. Okay, but then you've got that dicey emotional
Mm-hmm.
cheating and stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not my favorite. I have
Mm-hmm.
a hard time buying into friends to lovers. Like, gotta
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
they're friends for like a month and then they fall in love, okay, fine. I mean, my husband and I had a similar thing where we had a complicated relationship. So we said we'll start as friends and we'll hang out and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But along that month, we wanted to rip each other's clothes off. So it wasn't that not
Yeah.
that we didn't, it's like we just did it. So,
Right. Yeah.
that's, I don't know, hard for me to
Yeah.
buy into.
That makes sense. It makes sense. The cool, crisp days of fall are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time to go back to school thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/hallmarkies50. Use the code hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code hallmarkies50 at factormeals.com/hallmarkies50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. It's a pretty spicy book. But because they're enemies to lovers, it kind of works, in building that like so that must have been fun to write.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that scene when they finally,
Yeah,
and it's like finally, even I was like starting to like, okay, let's
let's do this.
let's do this because of so many of the interactions prior to, and so that lead up was really great. And I feel like you don't necessarily get that with other tropes, but with the enemies to
Yeah,
lovers, if you can create that tension right throughout, then that payoff
yeah.
is great.
Was it
Yeah.
hard to know kind of what to do with Liam and Sonia, how to kind of make that relationship and write that relationship?
No, I think I always knew the way that one was going to wind up and end up. It just seemed to be the right way to go with it, just
Mm-hmm.
because Haley's not necessarily wrong in that she thinks that they're moving too quick and that they don't quite know, the secrets that they're keeping from one another and not quite being honest in their relationship and things like that. I felt like it seemed like the most realistic way to have that kind of come around, but. And again, in the script version, it's great because you actually get to see a lot more of that relationship developing on screen, whereas you don't see it in the book. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed the book. I think the listeners will enjoy it if they can handle a little bit of spice. I think they'll have a good time with it. And so, congrats on the new book. And it was a lot of fun to read.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you for taking the time to read it. And it's
Yeah.
always reassuring when you enjoy something because I know you're honest enough to tell me if you didn't. And if there
Yeah.
is something that bugged you about it, feel free. I can handle it.
Maybe off
I know,
air. We'll be like,
I know there were some movies last year you loved of mine and others like you did not.
that's true.
I like
Yeah, the QVC
work.
movie was not my favorite, but I love you, and I think you're very talented.
It was challenging. It was a
Yeah,
fun
it
one.
was challenging. You did your best. What you tried.
All the beautiful product placement was gorgeous. The sets
Yeah,
were
it was
really lovely.
it
So
was intense. Yeah. The way they were, because it's one thing to work in product placement into a sweet rom-com, into a more of a mystery type thing. It was interesting.
yep, yep, definitely interesting.
Yeah, got to use this blender before I solve the case. Well, last time you were here, we did our Christmas questions. This time, I will do just our regular get to know you questions. So,
Yep.
the first question is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Oh, chocolate with those little caramel pieces.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's Rolo ice cream.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That sounds good. Okay, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Okay. What music are you into?
I like kind of alternative rock, but living here in
Mm-hmm.
Spain, I listen to a lot of like Latin American music too. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
oh fajitas.
Okay. With the weird ketchup sauce in
No,
Spain.
we finally found one that took a while. We got it.
Yeah. So, what is your go-to date night activity if you're going out and doing something?
Um, we do dates because we have a son and we don't like to leave him at night. Like he's a
Mm-hmm.
teenager, but we don't like to go out too late at night. So we do dates and we go to McCullough Beach Club. So fun. There's a beach club
Mm.
on the street, so we can walk and we can walk home, and it's such a fun time. A
Oh, that
DJ, a
sounds
pool,
fun. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. That does sound fun. Okay. Which do you like better, dogs or cats?
cats,
Yeah, nice. Okay. Which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
beaches.
Yeah, me too. And then it's a height of irony that I live in a mountain state, landlocked. Why? Why? I don't know. But what is your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat Christmas because it's a whole season as opposed
Hmm.
to, most holidays, just the day or the week.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
go to London. I mean,
Oh, you
you
do?
can't in at Christmas. It's just like Christmas just exploded all over the city.
Mm,
So,
hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
special.
bet. Yeah, aside from the airports, I've never been to London. I would love to go. My sister lives in Manchester, so I should, but I keep telling
Yeah.
her, I'm like, because she got married during COVID, so they didn't have like a wedding. And like, you need to have a wedding. Then that'd be the excuse for my dad would have to pay for all of us to go there. And she's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, stop thinking about yourself. Think about us.
Too funny.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. But what is your favorite Hallmark or romantic movie? I know, tough.
Well, favorite romantic movie is probably The Family Stone. I love
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's kind of one I watch every year. I really identify with Sarah Jessica Parker's character in that one. My husband's really hated me when I first came around, so I watch it. I'm like, I know how she feels. So I love that
That's
movie.
an interesting pick as your favorite. The couple swap that they do in it. I'm just like,
I know. Again, I guess
okay.
maybe I just really like the non-traditional rom-coms. You know? Like, switch it up a little.
I mean, it certainly would make the family reunions interesting.
Definitely. Yeah. It was just such a lovely story. I really like it. And I love Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson was in that one. Yeah.
Luke, is that, or Luke Wilson?
Can't remember which one is which.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the Wilsons. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a great cast. You can't deny that. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, very good. You did it. You answered all the questions.
Yay! Thanks.
Well, congrats on the book. I almost forgot to ask you about A Vintage Christmas coming out this season. So can you tell us anything about that?
I think so. I mean, it's filmed. I've seen a cut of it already, which is exciting. It was filmed by Nicely Entertainment optioned it, and then it was filmed in Australia by Steve Jagge's company.
Oh, okay.
He did such an amazing job. He made snow look real in Australia. Like, his production team is just like second to none. Like, the movie looks amazing, and it has Christopher Russell in it. So I mean, that's always a good time. You know?
Yeah, Mayor Patterson. That seems like that'll be a good match.
Beautiful, beautiful couple in the movie. So it's just basically the premise is a construction company is coming to town as builders there to tear down the post office and build this office building. Yeah, exactly. And he finds a old letters to Santa mailbox that has letters in it from the 1980s. So he sets about, with the help of the local historian, to find the people who wrote the letters and try to fulfill some Christmas wishes. So that's kind of the premise of it. It was
cute.
Super cute one to write.
That sounds cute. Well, very good. You answered all the questions. Thank you so much for coming and talking with us. And we'll have an affiliate link down in the description if people want to check out the book. And we'll always be excited for whatever you have coming for us, books or movies.
Yay! Thank you so much. Always good to talk to you.
So if people want to follow you on socials or anything like that, how do they do that?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Jen Snow Author, and then I finally got bullied into joining TikTok. So I'm on there too. Jennifer Snow Author, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to do videos. I've got an adorable little 15-year-old assistant who's addicted to TikTok, and she's making videos for me. So, so I'm not going to lie and pretend all the content going on there is mine. She's brilliant at this stuff, but trying to promote and do more behind the scenes stuff about All Signs Point to Malibu. And also I'm planning to start doing some screenwriting tips. So just these short, cool. 30 screenwriting tips on there. So
that'll be good. Well, we'll put all that in the description. And thanks so much. Have a great fall coming forward.
Thank you. Yes, you too. Looking forward to the cooler weather.
Enjoy Spain.
Thanks so much. Bye.
All right. I'd like to thank Jennifer for coming on the podcast. This was so much fun to get to talk with her. I always love talking with writers. And let us know what you think about the things we talked about. And if you get to read the book or watch any of her films, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes and on Goodreads. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support us. And we've had Jennifer on doing a watch along for the patrons. So definitely take a look at that. Check out the merch store, get tons of fun Hallmark inspired designs and more. And thanks again to Jennifer. We'll talk to y'all later.